A perfect start to the 7th podcast. Hey everyone, welcome to the Jody Court Podcast. We are on episode 7, and today we have a special treat, 2 actually, and they are our moms. So we want to introduce you to June Vastenhout, who's Jody's mom, and Pam Vamplew, who is my mom. And today we're going to be talking all about body image, which we sort of started in a conversation with our husbands. And we want to continue it now, diving sort of really deep into the female side of body issue. And we're really excited to start drilling our moms with some questions. It feels like the tables have kind of turned here, where we're in charge, and you guys better watch out. But as always, we want to just break the ice and get to know you guys a little bit more and let the viewers know you guys a little bit more. So you ready for some rapid fire questions?
Okay, maybe.
Okay.
All right, we'll start with one of Courtney's favorites, which is, if you could have a billboard anywhere, what would it say?
Oh, God. I should have thought of this ahead of time. If I could have a billboard. I think if I had a billboard, I would have one that would say, treat others how you would like to be treated. I think that would solve a lot of our world's problems. Now, on another note, hopefully it wouldn't backfire and go the other way. I'm relying on the goodness of people, which maybe is naive.
How about you, Pam?
Oh, I think one of my big life lessons was, and I think I would like this on a billboard, is that it's none of my business what other people think about me.
Oh, I love that one.
That's
a good one. It's okay,
Ella. And then one of my favorite rapid fire questions, which I think you both will be able to answer easily, is what book or books do you either gift to others the most often and why, or just a book you've read that you would recommend for others to read?
I know your answer, Mom. I want to see if I get it right.
Go, Pam, go.
Mine would be Don't Sweat the Small Stuff.
Oh, I was wrong.
Yeah, I read it probably 20-something years ago, and it's just a tiny little, like 5x5 book. And it went on to make like several different forms of that book, but that really changed how I viewed the world. Don't sweat the small stuff.
Awesome.
Oh man,
so many books,
so many
right?
books.
So many books.
So many books.
Like mother, like daughter.
Yeah. Probably those chicken soup books when they first came out, if I was going to pass a book on. Otherwise, there's so many fictional books like that I've read that.
Who's an author? Your favorite author right now?
I can't even say a favorite, but I've been reading lots of this new one, and it's not new, but it's new to me, is this Harlan Coben. And it's all just mysteries, but they're quick and easy, and I don't know how he keeps coming up with stuff. I think I'm on like the 7th one already, and he has 30. And that's what happens when you have time. Or give yourself permission.
Totally.
It took me a while to give myself permission to just sit and read, even though there's other things I could have been doing.
It's a good piece of advice for most of us, I think. Yeah.
Mom, I thought you were going to say, the places you'll go.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's another good one. Yeah.
That's your grad gift.
Yeah. That's a good one.
Awesome. Before the podcast, we were talking all about gardening. Before we started shooting, we were talking all about gardening. Both of our moms are avid gardeners, which makes sense because moms, women in general, are designed to create, and these 2 women are massive creators and very strong women and people that we admire. And that's really why we wanted to bring you guys onto our podcast, is because I think you both have so much to share. And I think part of the reason why you have so much to share and so much to offer in the world is that you've really been through a lot yourself, and you've experienced the realities of the realities of, like, when we bring it back to the topic of body image, the realities of body image, but in two kind of very different ways from each other. And we thought that that was really cool to have such differing stories, yet similar struggles and things like that. So we kind of just want to explore that a little bit in this podcast. So the first question that we would like to throw out to you guys is, given that we all live in different circumstances and that we all do have different stories, why do you think we all seem to share similar issues with body image and struggling with body love? It doesn't matter who starts.
I'll go first. I think it's been ingrained in us just since we were born. For our generation, I'm a little bit older than Pam, it wasn't so much TV and internet as it is now. Magazines, they show, pictures of these perfect housewifey women with their dress on and their heels, and everybody looks the same way. And we also had measures. So if you were 5'1", like I am, you should weigh X amount of pounds. And if you didn't weigh X amount of pounds, well, then there's something wrong with you. You need to do something about that. And that was like a chart that was everywhere. Even if you went to the doctor's office, there was this chart. So I think it was just right from the beginning. It just, this is how you should look. And I think back in the day when let's say our parents or grandparents grew up, everyone basically did a lot more physical hard work, and food wasn't as easily to come by. So a lot of them were just, it wasn't so much what you looked like. It was just, are you strong enough and can you work hard enough to keep this farm going or to keep this business going? Versus now, when it shifted over that you should all look a certain way, it's just been there. It seems like it's been there forever in my eyes.
It does, doesn't it? Like, it's just like a norm there's no real beginning to it. It was just always there. Yeah.
And then now with internet and TV and magazines, and it's just exploded that much more.
Mm-hmm. Do you feel like you were part of that shift in your lifetime, June, or do you feel like that shift happened and you were born into that sort of not so much production, but more the looks side of our body?
I think the look side is just I feel like it's always been there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about you, Mom?
Well, I think that a lot of what June said is I would mirror that as well, right? It seemed like it was always just there. And yeah, definitely when when TV was coming out and we were getting a TV and you only had 2 channels, the women that you saw were all thin, dressed a certain way, hair a certain way, makeup a certain way. You didn't see people who weren't perfect people, looks wise. I quote that quotation that because they just, everybody who was put into a print or on television was this very, very strict standard of person, right? And so we just grew up looking at these people. Another thing though that when you guys gave us these questions that I was thinking about was that children are so impressionable when they're young, right? We know that they're watching us all the time. And my mother, loves me still, and would never do anything to harm me. But, some of the words that came out of her mouth unintentionally made, an impression that stuck with me for my life. And that was with her own body image. She would say, oh, I'm going to try this diet and I'm going to go on this diet, or I'm going to, I can't eat that because it'll make me fat. And then as I got a little bit older, it would be, oh, you shouldn't eat that because you'll need to go on a diet. Oh, be careful. If you have that, that'll make you fat. And she wasn't doing it to be mean or hurt me in any way, but that stuck in my head. And I believed then, because, okay, so I shouldn't have a cookie because I'm going to be fat. Well, I snuck the cookie anyways, like any kid would, right? So now in my head, I think I'm fat. And when I look back on my pictures from that age, I was not. I was just the same as any other child. But in my head, from that point on, I believed I was fat. and it affected my whole life, everything.
I'm curious, Pam, too. I think that all of us could probably think back to language that was used when we were young that stuck with us and influenced in lots of different places other than body image. But I'm curious too, with the feeling like you needed to sneak the cookie and you needed to sneak the treats. Did that then like carry on later into feeling really guilty every time you were doing something bad or breaking a rule because you were enjoying food? Like, did it make it harder to enjoy delicious treats?
Probably, yes, probably. And I think that's part of, the whole body issue then, right? Once you associate yourself with something about your body, then these other things start to happen, right? You normalize something or you have guilt about something else, and that's part of that poor body image. Yeah, definitely. I think that attributed to a lot of it. Yeah.
That whole shame thing that Brené Brown talks about, hey? So we just like shame ourselves for things that don't need shaming.
Yeah, for enjoying a piece of chocolate or whatever, having dessert when you go out, or yeah, it was always something, that little voice in the back of your head, because now you're going, oh, I'm fat, I shouldn't have that, right? Or I don't deserve to enjoy this.
I'm just trying to, I know that probably your mom was the same as my mom. You couldn't have dessert unless you ate all your food, all your supper. So you ate all your supper because, of course, your mom made 2 fresh chocolate cakes once a week because that was your dad's favorite. So she would make this one meal that none of us liked. It was my dad's favorite. It was this homemade salmon casserole thing and homemade not Kraft dinner, macaroni and cheese that I probably would love now, but we couldn't. We just did not like it then. But you ate it because you wanted a fresh piece of chocolate cake. So that a lot of that was you eat what's on your plate, or you don't get dessert.
Yeah, that's
almost
part
like
of it.
you don't deserve dessert.
Yeah, totally.
That was.
Yeah.
I have one of my sisters blames all of us. She said our weight problem, which none of us really had a bad weight problem, but it's in your head, like you say, on my mom's desserts, my mom's chocolate cake.
That's awesome. Taking all of that, leading into our next question that we want to focus on, which I think is so powerful, because I think our stories, our struggles and our celebrations and our successes all define our stories, and our stories have so much to offer other women to learn from everybody else's experience. Everybody's story is so valuable. So I'm really curious if you guys could maybe pull out from your lifetime. It could be when you were young, it could be now, it could be any time, but maybe like one real struggle that you had that has to do with body image, and maybe one super duper awesome success or something that like really helped you solve a problem.
Well, I'm going to go back to my same thing, and I wrote a little bit of note here.
I love it. She came with notes.
I did. I had to. I think I wasted a lot, and if I would say this to you young people and to anybody else, I wasted a lot of valuable time worrying about the fact that I wasn't 100 pounds, that I should be 100 pounds, and that I'm not built like your skinny people. I'm not. I'm never going to be like that. I have big bones. I have my father's tree trunk legs. It's just part of who I am. But at the time, I was going to try to change that no matter what. And I wasted a lot of time and a lot of energy and got grumpy and stressed out way too much over that. And if I would say anything to anybody, please don't do that. But that all stemmed from that, oh, I should be like this, I can't be like that. So just to accept who you are. And probably my biggest change of mindset was becoming like more physically strong and doing weight training and strength training. And I realized I'm strong and healthy, and that was my breakthrough. I don't care what I actually look like, how much I weigh. When my scale broke, I threw it away and never ever replaced it again. And everything fits the way I want it to fit, and that's all that matters. But boy, I wasted a lot of time, and I sure don't want other people to do that. But it was the way it was, and it all stemmed from, I think, the beginning, where you thought you were supposed to be a certain way.
Yeah, I picture those like 50s commercials, like with the super, super skinny waisted in a yellow, cute little dress, vacuuming. Like that's what I'm picturing in my head.
Well, I even think about Barbie dolls.
Yeah.
We all played with Barbie dolls. Can anybody actually look like that and be healthy? I don't think so.
It is really interesting how the outside world just influences us so much, because even in my own body, I find like, so I'm the same height as you, June, pretty much. I got an inch on you, but that's it. But
5'1", 5'2", 5'3".
But I find like, so my weight has been different at different points, and it's actually now that I'm like in my life right now that I'm sort of the most slender, which is really interesting, because you think like according to what society would tell you about how you should look and stuff like that, like, whoa, I've made it. And then it's so interesting because then being like in the body that I am now, the voices have not gone away. They've just changed. Now I'm like, oh, but now I'm an athlete. Now I need to look more like Jody and have way more muscles. God, I'm too skinny. Like I need to start lifting weights more. And then it's like it doesn't go away. It's just the voice is like, oh, well, I guess I'm not getting in her head anymore with these words. I'm going to switch them to these, and then there's still this beating up on ourselves. It's really, unfortunate. Anyway, sorry, Mom, I butted into your turn there.
Okay. Okay, I'm going back to the question. So my struggles would be that I'm similar to June again. Like I associated my worth and my success and my happiness to a number on a scale, or to the number inside of my genes, and that really, and I'm a very sensitive person. So I really did care what people thought about me, so and that was just, it tied into that whole thing about how I thought other people would view me. So I think I worked harder. I strived for more. I put in more hours. I did more things to try and make people like me, because I wasn't succeeding at the number in my pants or the number on the scale. And in my life, I have gone up the scale and down the scale and up the scale and down the scale. And to the point where I pretty much ruined my metabolism, because my body just didn't know if I was starving or, if there was food or there wasn't food. And so it's been a lifelong struggle, because I associated with that number. And I think sometime in my 40s was the most liberating time of my life, when I stopped caring what other people would think. And I think this is a natural part of women's lives. And if you haven't made it to that point in your life yet, it's coming. It's wonderful. You just really don't care anymore, what people's attitudes are towards you. I don't want to swear, but you know what I'm getting at, right? And then my life just became better, because I looked at myself differently. I felt differently about myself. I enjoyed myself, and where I was at, where I couldn't enjoy myself up to that point. So I still see flaws when I look in the mirror. I think we all do, because you can't just make it go away overnight. If you've spent 20 years or 30 years of your life seeing flaws, you're going to see flaws. But now I learned to go, hey, that's cool. That's me. That's what makes me different. And that's what I was given. And and I'm grateful, right? I see, I make myself look at myself and go, this is all the things that I love about myself, where before I couldn't do that either.
I love that.
Mm-hmm.
And then, and if you need a success story, I think I have booty. I have big booty. And I hated it my whole life, because it was never the thing to have. You were never to have a big bum. You were to have a skinny little bum. And I'm married for the second time. And I said to my second husband, I said, what is it that you love about me, about my body? And it took me a long time to be able to ask that question, because I was afraid of that he would say, well, there's nothing, right? You know, like you really just, you're so afraid of that. And he said he loved my booty. And it brought me to tears. I was just, because that was something I hated about myself my whole life. But that's what he loved in me. You know, that was something that sort of attracted him to me, right? And so it was a turning point. It was a big thing to have that little success of him saying that, and then to realize, okay, well, you know, because now it's in vogue to have booty, but you know, now I like my butt.
People are paying for a booty.
Yeah. Thank you. Enhanced.
That is awesome. I know I was in like a lingerie store, a bra and underwear store a while ago, and they've got like unpadded underwear now too, where it like
What?
Yeah, right. I was like, what? I hadn't been in a store like that for a long time. Clearly, those have probably been a thing for a while, but
They're like, we've had this around for 10 years, Jode.
I thought, oh, so funny, the things we do to modify our body, when really it, like, our body as it is exactly what it's supposed to be to attract who we're supposed to have in our life, right? Your husband is who you're supposed to have in your life right now, and he's attracted to you, how you are right now. Like, so funny.
Yeah, that's such a good point. Jude, was there like a big, like a turning point for you, sort of like what's the biggest difference? You had said at one point that not repurchasing the scale was sort of a shifting point. Was there anything else that made a big difference for you? It's sort of turning into that place of self-love in your body.
I think, like Pam said, there does reach a point where you don't care what anybody thinks, and you just have to decide, I'm through beating myself up, that I'm not 5'8" and 120 pounds. That's dumb. That is a waste of time. And then you just do accept. And then I probably, when other people say to you, oh, look at your arms, oh, they're so strong, look at this, oh, look, and then you think, oh, really? Oh, okay. But get yourself out of your head of criticizing yourself, having other people acknowledge that, oh, you're pretty strong. Oh, okay, yeah, okay, I guess I am. I don't know. You don't really think about it until maybe it's pointed out. And get your, like Pam says, get that other stuff out of your head and realize that you have to accept yourself the way you are and work with what you have. So I might not be the tallest basketball player, but I could play a mean game of soccer. Just to accept who you are, I think, is a big step.
And I think sort of just to start to reel things in and wrap things up a little bit, one thing that Jody and I are working to try to get this message across is that that our body image really should be focused around finding the body that best serves you in living out who you desire to be and what your dreams are. So what is the body that best serves you? And to kind of swing back to the beginning of the conversation, how you guys are both gardeners, you guys are both grandmas, and you have these very similar things, and you guys have very different bodies, but both of them serve you in being those things where you even share common purposes in using your bodies. And I think it's really beautiful. All four of us on this on the call right now, we all have completely different bodies too, I think, and yet each of our bodies and each of our bodies serve us in the unique journeys that we're on. And I think if we can keep that as the focus, I think that it's just a lot easier to love ourselves in that sense. So I guess just to get into the last question, being that you guys are both grandmas and your grandchildren are clearly the most wonderful grandchildren in the entire world. If you were to give any advice to them, if you had a piece of advice for your granddaughters, what would that advice be?
Well, I have to review my notes. I would say one thing for sure is don't waste time worrying. And I know it's hard for them because it's peer pressure and everything, and it's going to be difficult, but just don't waste time worrying about what other people think about, how you look and how you act. Just to be yourself, to decide what you want to be. Like, do you want to be the skinny model? Do you want to be an athlete? Do you want to ride horses? What do you want to be? And stick to that. Stick to who you want to be and not what other people expect of you. And that how you are on the inside is probably way more important than what you look like on the outside. And just make a decision. Who do I want to be? And stick to it and be yourself. It's tough today, I think, but I think there's more awareness for children to realize that it's okay for them to all look different, because we all look different and we can still function. And being able to go out and do things with them is important to me. So right now, I just want to be able to go skiing, go biking, go hiking, go canoeing, go camping with them. I don't want to be the grandma with the cane that can't do that stuff. So that's my most important thing, is to stay strong and healthy. And it doesn't matter what I look like, as long as I can still keep doing all that stuff with them. And maybe if they see that, they might realize, oh, it just doesn't really matter what I look like, as long as I have the strength and the ability, flexibility, whatever, that we're all different, to keep doing the things we want to do.
I know for sure being, going through as a teenager, I remember enough being like, I'm close enough still that I remember growing up how you don't actually, it's almost like you stray away from, you don't really care what your mom does or what your grandma does. Like, it's all about you in that time, right? And it's really hard. But I do see this pattern now over and over again, where you sort of do come back to those lessons, right? When the brain fairy gives your brain back when you're 20 years old, and you start to appreciate that. And I love that message, June, of just being such a model to them, and whether or not they pick up on that message right now, you live your example. And when they get their brains back at 20, they're going to really see that. You know what I mean, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. How about you, Mom?
I've got a few things. One would be first to the parents of the kids.
Oh, yes, I take notes.
Take notes.
To all parents, that, we have to watch our words as parents, not just what we say directly to our kids, but what we say around our children, because it was just those few words that made such a difference in my life, right? And our children, your children, are the same, right? Very, very impressionable by our words. And then to my beautiful grandchildren, I would want them to know that, one, that, to express gratitude in their lives, and to find the things that are, that they're thankful for, and to teach them those lessons of looking for the good. Because sometimes they get wrapped up in their own egos and everything, and they forget to see those things. And that's a really important tool that we can teach them. And to go beyond that, then to point out in others the beauty that are in other people. So it doesn't have to be a person that is just like them to make them beautiful, but to say, oh, look at that, look at that little boy, and maybe he's got crazy hair or something like that. Boy, that's really cool. That he can go around and he likes that, and that makes him look really good. And show them that difference between people is good, and that beauty comes in thousands of forms, and that we need to appreciate it in all the forms that it comes in.
I love that.
Well, one thing I feel that's going to be a big plus for our whole family is our little Theo, and how much he enjoys life, and how he is so different looking, and that I can't wait for these girls to be around him more. Like, this whole COVID thing has put a a strain in that because they were supposed to be here in March. But I think that's going to be really helpful for them to see how he does not care what he looks like and what people think of him. There is no way it's ever going to be a problem for him. And so they could model after that. Like, oh, look at Theo. He doesn't give a hoot. And it's just going to be a bonus, I think. A big bonus for everyone in our family.
I totally agree.
Yeah.
And for those of you watching that don't know our family really well, Theo is my nephew who has Down syndrome, and he is literally the most entertaining, the most beautiful little child. He is so cute. And it's true. And I think we talked about that as a family before when my brother found out that they might be having a Down syndrome baby, and just talking to people who have experience with them, they don't give two you-know-whats about the things we all worry about. Like, we have so much to learn from them, and I think that's going to be a fun experience for our little family. Yeah.
We decided Jeff should open a YouTube channel and start putting up his videos of Theo just to make people's days.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, thank you, ladies, so much. I know I got a lot out of it. I know this makes me want to do more like versions of this with our moms about different topics, because that was super fun. And then I don't know about Courtney, but I got so much out of that from you ladies, and looking forward to our granddaughters watching it as well. They can get a lot out of it. I know I'm super proud to be associated with this super powerhouse of a woman next to me here. And I know my kids gain so much perspective on life just from spending time with such a strong grandma. So thank you.
You're welcome.
Your time.
Thank you.
Thanks, ladies.
Thank you, guys. Nope, just thank you guys for sharing your wisdom and being role models to us and your grandkids, but also to women around the world now, because now you're famous.
You're famous.
Oh, no.
So if you liked what you watched / listened to, help out these two mamas in a small town to spread the love to the other mamas in the other towns by subscribing, liking, commenting. Let us know what you want to hear from us, okay?
Okay.
Awesome. Thanks, everybody, for your time.
See you next week.
See you next week.
Bye.